Before we discuss the Democratic Socialists of America, we must first understand the two organizations that preceded it, the Democratic Socialist Organizing Committee and the New American Movement. The Democratic Socialist Organizing Committee, DSOC, was a center-left pressure group created by Michael Harrington in 1973. The goal was to push the Democratic Party away from the conservative influence of Southern Democrats and towards a Labor Party-like platform. The DSOC split from the Socialist Party of America due to, quote, Harrington's conviction that the party was giving de facto support to Richard Nixon. The more profound cause was a split in our socialist cadre which, though it involved only a handful of people, sharply focused the political conflict of the 60s. The DSOC set itself up as the multi-tendency rallying point of the entire anti-capitalist left, and spent its years organizing union leaders, uniting with middle-class activists, and running for office as Democratic candidates. The New American Movement, NAM, was a multi-tendency leftist organization, founded in 1971 as a successor to the Students for a Democratic Society. Originally sharing the foundation of the late SDS, with its Mao Zedong thought-inspired framework, by the time of the 1980s, the NAM had adopted a view not too dissimilar to the DSA's current ideological position, supporting liberation struggles abroad, such as the PLO, while endorsing Democratic candidates domestically. At the time of the group's merger with the DSOC, the NAM had roughly 1,000 members in comparison to the DSOC's 5,000, predominantly made up of students. Starting in 1979, the DSOC and NAM began discussing further ties with each other. According to Michael Harrington, quote, 3 points were central to our negotiations. First, there was the issue of working within the left wing of the Democratic Party. Second, and of great ideological movement, we specified that however one might theorize the reality, actual communist states were not socialist as we define the term. Lastly, the question of the Middle East. The main point of disagreement between the DSOC and NAM was the Zionist occupation of Palestine, with the DSOC having a large number of labor Zionists, while the NAM majority supported the PLO and other Palestinian resistance fighters. In the end, the organization officially supported a two-state solution, with heavy compromises from both sides. In 1982, the Democratic Socialists of America was born. The DSA spent its years from its founding in 1982 to the Occupy movement of 2011 as a remnant of the 1960s left. Starting with a membership of 6,000, they never reached more than 10,000 members during this period. Despite their small membership, DSA's organizational work increased as a result of the merger. DSA endorsed and worked with Jesse Jackson in the 1988 Democratic primaries and mobilized support for the Sandinistas during the Reagan administration. In 1989, Michael Harrington died, leaving the nascent DSA directionless. Without Harrington's leading personality, alongside the decrease in popularity of leftist politics after the fall of the Soviet Union, the DSA had its head barely above the water throughout the 1990s and 2000s. Organizational space was limited, with those seeking to reform the system finding a home in the neoliberal Clinton administration, and those seeking a more radical transformation finding their way to the myriad of remaining communist parties, such as the Socialist Alternative or the Revolutionary Communist Party. Momentum shifted back in DSA's favor starting in 2011 with the Occupy Wall Street movement. The resurgence of left populism in the United States, continuing from Occupy into the Fight for 15 movement of 2012 and the Black Lives Matter movement in 2013, culminated in the DSA-led Run, Bernie, Run campaign in late 2014. Sanders, a longtime independent senator who canvassed with the Democratic Party, popularized the name Democratic Socialism with his 2016 presidential primary campaign against Hillary Clinton. And even though Bernie Sanders lost the Democratic primaries, DSA membership had jumped by over 2,000 members. When Donald J. Trump succeeded in becoming 45th President of the United States, DSA membership had exploded to over 21,000 by mid-2017. These new members weren't solely Democratic Socialists of Harrington or Bernie's persuasion either, as the DSA has expanded to include many types of revolutionists, such as Marxists and anarchists, as well as their already existing base of reformists. They found common cause against Donald Trump and the failure of the neoliberal establishment to provide a reasonable alternative. The resurgent strength of labor unions, with events such as the New York protest against the Trump administration's Muslim ban in 2017 and the Red for Ed Wildcat strikes in 2018, DSA was able to tie itself to union organizing and create a fighting labor movement. This increase in labor and organizational strength led to DSA's first electoral victories, with Julia Salazar leading DSA's first senatorial victory in New York in 2018, Chicago voting in a 6-person Democratic Socialist alderman slate to their city council, and New York voting in a slate of 7 Democratic Socialists for their state assembly. In 2020, Sanders once again attempted to become the Democratic candidate, only to once again narrowly lose and come in second place. Similarly to 2016, DSA's membership rose again, this time to 90,000 members. However, the initial expansion gave way to a period of internal restructuring. In May 2020, the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement after the murder of George Floyd brought the issue of race to the forefront. September 2020's wildfires added to the ecological consciousness of the DSA, and the Israeli murder of Palestinian protesters in 2021 finally allowed the DSA to break from its Zionist past under Harrington and fully embrace Palestinian self-determination. 2020 also marked the founding of the Emergency Workplace Organizing Committee. Working with the United Electrical Workers, the DSA sought to organize new unions in the workplace. The Young Democratic Socialists of America continued this project in 2021 with the Rank and File Pipeline Project, promoting college students to begin work in key industries and unionize their coworkers. These new efforts to promote labor organization led to the election of Sean O'Brien of the Reform Caucus as president of the Teamsters in 2021, the creation and massive expansion of the Amazon and Starbucks unions in 2022, the election of Sean Fain as the president of the United Auto Workers, and his subsequent authorization of the 2023 United Auto Workers strike. These achievements, however, weren't all permanent. In specific, the DSA ran into issues with the compromising and conservative nature of the Teamsters. This issue, alongside the inability to hold a healthy line struggle, led to the dissolution of the Reform Caucus. These experiences, both the progress and regress of the labor movement, led the DSA membership leftward, with the 2023 National Political Conference elections leading to the first time the moderate caucuses could not form an electoral majority. This new NPC, while not formally abandoning a reformist struggle, opened the space for the idea of an independent socialist party.